We are back for another episode of Local Festive Traditions, which explores the roots and holiday traditions of local immigrant stories right here in Kennebunk. Each of these stories was researched and written using the local census as well as archival materials here at the Brickstore Museum. Don't forget, you can leave us stories about your own family traditions, questions about the stories that we tell, and discover more of the videos at brickstoremuseum.org/festive traditions. Let's jump back into our story.
Hey, welcome og god jul. My name is Hilde Tvedt, and I am a native of Norway, and I now live here in Kennebunk. I am the wife of Samuel Tvedt and the sister-in-law of Antoine Tvedt. Samuel and Antoine both moved to Kennebunk in 1888 from Norway at the request of their eldest brother, Hans, who had moved here a few years earlier. Hans was looking for a few good men to help him work at the Leatherite factory on the Mousam River, right here in Kennebunk. The Leatherite factory manufactured a number of items, including steamer trunks, lunch boxes, and roving cans, which were large cylindrical leather canisters that held the unspun wool that were created in textile mills in New England. Shortly after Samuel and Antoine arrived at the factory, Hans moved away, but the brothers continued to run the Leatherite factory. They liked to employ fellow countrymen as well as Swedish immigrants. They recruited many other families from our hometown of Bergen, Norway, to join us here in Kennebunk. Most of the men worked in the factory, and many of the women went into domestic service right here in town. As described in newspapers at the time, we Scandinavians were known to be, quote, good cooks, pleasant with children, most intelligent, and of excellent character. Being welcomed by the locals made our experience very pleasant indeed. It allowed us, as an immigrant group, to have a positive and long-lasting impact on our new town. While my brother-in-law Antoine took on larger leadership roles at the factory, my husband Samuel worked there too, but his main passion was preaching. My Samuel would preach the good word of God to anyone and everyone who listened. His favorite place to preach was right in downtown, in front of Libby's Hardware. He would stand on a wooden box and passionately shake his fist to remind people to follow the word of God and live a pious life, or else be doomed. Now, my Samuel was not intent on scaring people, you see. He just genuinely cared about his fellow man, and he wanted them to know that it was not too late to mend their ways, turn to God, and lead a righteous life. In fact, my husband Samuel was the very first preacher in a new church that my brother-in-law built here right in town in 1893. The Scandinavian Church on Hall Street was where we Norwegian and Swedish residents could come together to have our own place of worship. It was also the site of many a Christmas celebration. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the special holiday traditions that our family celebrated here in Kennebunk in the early 1900s. In Scandinavia, the holiday season is called Jul, and it dates back to pagan times as a celebration of winter. Old Norse midwinter traditions paid homage to their gods by offering food and drink. The central components of those traditions, to eat and drink well, remained a central, important part of our Christmas traditions in Norway and Sweden. Myself, my daughters, nieces, and sisters-in-law spent a great deal of time preparing all of the food that we would be eating at the Jul board, which is the Christmas feast that is celebrated on Julaften, which is Christmas Eve. In Norway, this holiday gathering was especially important as we geared up for the cold, dark winter ahead. So, what did we make for the Jul board? A cod called lutefisk was served as the first dish. The main dish would be ribbe, which is a seasoned pork served with sauerkraut and red currant sauce. The third course would include additional savory items such as sausages and spiced potatoes. And no Yule board would be complete without the Yule Øl, which is a traditional dark stout that is brewed specifically for the Christmas season. Dessert would include spiced cakes or rice pudding sprinkled with cinnamon. Now, in Sweden, traditionally, bakers would place an almond in one of the rice pudding servings. Whoever shall find it, well, they would be guaranteed good luck for the year. We often made our gingerbread cookies in the shape of a goat. Now, there was an Old Norse tradition that a white bearded creature called Nisse would deliver gifts to children on Christmas Eve. So, why the goat? Well, Nisse didn't have reindeer to help him, and nor did he go down a chimney, but he did have a goat that would help to carry his load of gifts. We also made a spiced ginger snap called pepperkakor, which we not only ate but used as decorations. Pepperkakor could be made into several different shapes, including hearts or stars, and we would put them around our house. In fact, stars played a very important role in decorations in Scandinavia, especially in Sweden. We would craft stars out of bows, twigs, rope, really anything that we could find around the house. And then we would decorate both the inside and outside of our home. We also placed candles throughout our houses to resemble stars, provide warmth and light. Music also played a very important role in our holiday traditions. My brother-in-law Antoine was a guitarist, and other relatives would play piano and violin. Our fellow Scandinavians, the Swedes, would sing and dance on St. Lucia's Day on December 13th. St. Lucia's Day would kick off the holiday season in Sweden. The young girls of the family would dress as St. Lucia in a white robe with a red sash, and they would wear a wreath of candles on the top of their head. Evergreen would be used in the wreath, which would symbolize good luck. They would sing traditional Swedish hymns, make visits to hand out pepperkakor, and eat lussekatter, which is special St. Lucia Day bun made with saffron and raisins and shaped like a cat's tail. We Norwegians celebrated St. Knut's Day on January 13th to conclude the holiday season. On that day, all of the Christmas decorations, including the tree, are taken down, and any fruits and cookies that were used as decorations are eaten. St. Knut's Day celebrations would include singing and dancing as well, in addition to eating. The Yule season, all in all, was a wonderful time for our family to get together and celebrate as we prepared for the long, cold, and dark winter. Though, I can tell you, it's not nearly as dark here in Maine as it is back in my home of Norway. Here, the sun may set at 4:30, but it sets at 3 or even earlier back in Norway, making for a very long, dark winter indeed. Tack, thank you, God Jul, Merry Christmas.